DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between, for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or dsw.com.
Get the damn phones out of the bedrooms. If you have a high school student who's not getting enough sleep, who you feel like is just on the treadmill, who's struggling to get things done, I am telling you, they are on their phone at night. I don't care what they tell you. That's a very concrete thing that you can do to stop this cycle of them feeling like there's not enough time in the day for them to get everything done because they're on their phones a lot. They are. So take it out of the bedroom.
Welcome to Season 8 of Flusterclux with Lynn Lyons, where we talk about managing worry, anxiety, and all the other emotions too.
I'm Lynn Lyons. I'm an anxiety expert, author, speaker, and mom. I've been a therapist for 35 years, and I'm still in the trenches with families, helping them navigate daily struggles and big problems. Parenting can be a flusterclux, but we tackle the serious stuff without being too serious.
I'm Robin. I'm Lynn's sister-in-law and co-host, and I'm here to ask your questions.
And I'm Ed, the producer of Flusterclux.
And my brother.
And my husband.
Anxiety is a family problem with a family solution.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Robin.
I thought we should do some listener questions today because we've gotten a few about listeners' high school students.
Yes, high school students. 'Tis the season.
That's right. In fact, it's the season at our house too. So I was very excited to talk about high school, high emotions around schoolwork and everything that they're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I saw this funny Instagram thing where somebody was saying, if you didn't cry at the dining room table while your father was trying to help you with your math homework, what kind of childhood did you have?
It's funny. Yeah. Math is definitely, with one of my kids, their trigger, and math frustration is like a thing that we're working on and bringing all the tools I've learned from the podcast about. But one of the things that you've always recommended we do is sort of like to give names to our parts, not just our anxiety part that has like a totally different name. Like my anxious part is Sally. And you always say she has a raspy voice and talks like she's got a lot of cigarettes in that throat history.
Right.
Right. Well, I used to have Airport Robin, who was a very rigid, bossy mom to get the family to the airport on time when it was really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a math name for my son who gets very frustrated about the subject of math. But, I've also learned how they respond to homework is also indicative of other patterns that are setting in that are going to stick with them in life.
Correct. Yeah. We always can generalize the patterns and the habits. So this is why when we talk about executive functioning, for example, and we'll talk about this, I'll say more about this, but we know that good executive functioning skills predict success in life far better than good grades, because executive functioning shows up all the time, not just when you're a sophomore in high school doing your math homework. It's really, how do we handle things that come at us that make us feel uncomfortable, that make us feel overwhelmed, that make us feel stressed out? How do we do all those things, like breaking big things down into small parts? How do we recognize what's important and what's not? All those kinds of things are really important skills.
Well, I think that's one of the things that you've taught me is that when those moments come up as a parent, I mean, it's not like I don't want my kids to good grades. I mean, that's great if they get good grades, but the real focus is on what skills are they showing up with in this moment and what skills are they lacking. That's our family's homework to help them.
Exactly. How often do I hear, and maybe you hear this too, my child was smart and everything always came easy to her. And then she got this teacher, or then she took this class, or then she started her junior year and suddenly things don't come easy to her anymore. And she doesn't have the skill to figure out how to work through that distress. That's a skill. Real homework for me is homework of how do families manage it? And how do parents manage it? What is the message that a parent is giving? It becomes this bigger thing than just whether or not you can solve the quadratic equation.
Of course. Well, and I don't want to sound like I live in a total bubble, because I appreciate that in our childhoods, we can be managing a lot of high stress things going on in our families and households with other family members, addiction, abuse, financial insecurity. I understand that teens are managing many things, but say you're a family that doesn't really have many of those obstacles. Homework is often that high stakes thing that shows up where like the kids handle the stress.
Yes. And also, though, in families in which grades and education and whether or not you're going to be able to get the scholarships you need in order to go on to college. So if you've got a family that, you're a first generation college person and the family is really trying to figure out how do we get this kid to move forward? How do we help them with their education? Then it becomes even more high stakes. So on the one hand, we might have families where you got your house and your food and all that kind of stuff, and grades are kind of this badge of honor. But then we also have families where grades are truly the way that you are able to move forward. So the stress can come in both ends of the socioeconomic spectrum for sure.
I fell to that when my daughter went through the process. I thought I was so chill about grades, in a way that I felt like was the right way to be. And then senior year, like it did matter what sort of scholarship she got. The stakes became very personal for me, and it was a lot to manage. And I don't think I managed it with an A, maybe a B minus.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think that the goal is, how do we step back and look at what are the skills our children are developing? And how are they going to take those skills not only just into their academic careers, but into their relationships? How are they going to be as a colleague? How are they going to be as a roommate? How are they going to be as a sibling? How are they going to manage when things don't go the way that they expect them to go? Those are the things that knock kids flat. If you look at, would you rather have a kid that has a 4.0 who is staying up all night, is really miserable, who's perfectionistic, we're going to talk about that in a minute, versus a kid who maybe gets some B's and C's, but is engaged in their job that they have, volunteers, has a really good group of friends. Somebody who, when you say, hey, is it okay if I have to go do this thing? Can you make dinner for your siblings tonight? They say, sure, Mom. I know it sounds cliche, but when we look at having well-rounded human beings, the ability to get straight A's is not a predictor of too much in life.
Not only that, it's not very uncommon if you're trying to be competitive out there. There are a lot of kids with perfect 4.0s every year who apply to Ivy League schools. The kids who have fully developed emotional skills are really the people who have an edge over everybody else in life. And that's the key.
Well, and let me just throw something else into this. The kids that are very, very good at doing what's necessary to apply and get into a college, that they haven't really developed those well-rounded skills, or don't really have the ability to know when enough is enough, or don't really know how to manage a difficult social situation, or go to a professor when you have a question. Those kids have a really difficult time in college. And evidence of that is that college mental health centers cannot employ enough therapists to meet the demands of these young adults that are on campus. They are so ill-equipped in so many ways. They're so overwhelmed. If we want to take a step back, and I always say the earlier the better, but it's never too late. If your goal is to get your kid into a good college and that's it, okay, have at it. Because for one, you don't have a lot to say. I mean, it's for those high elite colleges, it's really just a roll of the dice. But what does it mean when your child goes away to college and then crashes and burns? That is heartbreaking. And we've talked about that before. So this idea of how do we manage high school? How do we handle the meltdowns of high school? How do we handle the challenges of high school? It's really not about grades. It's not about APs. It's not about the numbers on the transcript. It's about what they need to do in order to make this big transition. The transition from being a senior in high school to being a freshman in college is an enormously big transition. And if you haven't worked to help your child develop the skills they need in order to do that, you're going to have a problem on your hands. You really are. I've seen it over and over and over again.
Can I just stop before we take a break? I just want to give some context to listeners about why you say what you say from the view that you have professionally. We did an episode on the academic achievement culture that's really one of my favorite episodes that we'll put a link in the show notes.
Right. So I see a lot of kids who academically are doing great, except that what's interesting is lots of times what throws them is that they're getting 92s instead of 99s. And what also throws them is the inability to manage when things don't go as planned. So the ability to tolerate disappointment, the ability to, again, get help when you need it, to ask a professor, the ability to own that you didn't do the work the way the teacher asked you to do it, and so you didn't get a great grade, and now you have an opportunity to go back and do it again. The ability to work with groups, the ability to make decisions based on sometimes what's interesting to you rather than what will look good on your application. I see kids that are really stressed out, really anxious, often getting depressed. And here's one thing that these high achieving kids say to me all the time. The reason I am hitting this wall, the reason I feel so crappy is because I am on this treadmill of achievement and I don't see how it's going to end. So I am busting my ass to do perfectly in high school so I can get into a good college, so I can do well in college, so I can get a good job. If that's what this is all about, as Billy Joel said, good luck moving up because I'm moving out. These kids get worn out. And so the skill of being able to step back and teach kids that relationships and interests and fun and enjoyment and playfulness and humor, if you push your whole life, if the whole goal is to push, very often these kids meet a challenge and it knocks them flat. And I see it happening as early as 14, 15, 16.
Let's take a break and we'll get right to it.
So it's a new year, which means that you had a previous year that was full of family memories or events. Maybe you took a ton of pictures and now you want to create something special, something that tells the story of your family, of your year. Journey Print has the solution. They create photo books for you that are so effortless. Their unique AI auto-arranges your photos into a beautiful book and handles the stunning layout in seconds. Premium quality guaranteed. They use the latest printing technology to ensure your photo books look as stunning as your memories. My nephew got married this fall, a beautiful wedding, incredible. We took so many pictures and I used Journey Print to create an amazing memorable photo book. The book looks great. It feels great in your hands. I use the premium satin paper. It was so easy for somebody like me who's not crafty. You can drop and drag images. You can add emojis if you wanted. I used maps that just made it look so special. I chose one of the 35 theme options that fit perfectly with the feel of their wedding and the fun of our family. It's just a great product. Go to journeyapp.com/podcast/Flusterclux and use the code Flusterclux to get 30% off your next purchase. That's Journey spelled JOURNI app.com/podcast/Flusterclux and use code Flusterclux at checkout. Hey, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, no pun intended, you have heard over the last several years how important sleep is to our overall well-being and to our skin. It is hard to unwind at night, and it's also hard to take care of your skin. I live in a very, very cold climate. My skin needs time to recover. It takes a beating during these New Hampshire winters. I have been using Osea's newest product. It's the Dream Collection. There's a Dream Bioretinol Body Serum. I put that on at night night. I also use the cream at night after the serum. It helps me settle in. It makes my skin feel nurtured. It just feels good. Osea helps reduce visible effects of stress on the skin, including lack of firmness, dullness, dryness all over the body. They have an amazing Dream Bioretinol body serum. This is full body. You can use it on your arms, your legs. It is restorative treatment. It visibly de-stresses skin with a holistic blend of bioretinol, red seaweed, magnesium, and lavender. This overnight firming treatment is an essential, efficient step in any bedtime routine. It delivers real transformation for your body and your well-being. It feels good. It smells good. It promotes a restful night while visibly firming and improving skin's elasticity. Give your skin a rest with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now we have a special discount just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FLUSTER at OseaMalibu.com. One of the things I know about my profession is if you want to become a better therapist, the research shows that it's what therapists do outside of the therapy sessions. The research really highlights curiosity, learning, taking in new information, and Masterclass does that in so many amazing ways. Classes that I love that are directly relatable to what I do for a living. I love the new Anna Lemke class that's on dopamine, learning how to take your brain back from our dopamine overloaded environment. Michael Lewis, How to Tell a Story. I talk for a living. I take in all of this information because it's interesting in and of itself, and it just prompts my mind, prompts my curiosity. It keeps me learning, and it's going to do the same for you. Whether you want to figure out how to negotiate your next raise with lessons from super agent Rich Paul, or maybe you want to design your dream home with Joanna Gaines. So many people have benefited from the amazing work of James Clear talking about atomic habits. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. They've got plans that start at $10 a month, billed annually, and you get unlimited access to over 200 classes. They're taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. 3 in 4 surveyed members feel inspired every time they watch Masterclass, and I'm one of those people. Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/fluster. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/fluster, masterclass.com/fluster. Okay, we're back.
Okay, here's our first listener question. I have a 16-year-old daughter with perfectionism. She gets bogged down in minor decisions, paralyzed by having to choose. She just can't move forward. She's really smart and capable, so up to now, middle of junior year of high school, has mostly gotten through, but is now feeling crisis mode, staying home from school to finish schoolwork with a big course load full of APs, but she's falling further behind by the hour. She thinks she just needs to catch up, but really she needs a different relationship with dealing with a too much to do situation and learning how to do good enough work. But how do I get there and help her?
All right. Everything that we said during the first section of this episode was because we knew we were going to do this question. So I've already sort of laid the groundwork. Mom, you're asking the right question. What this mom is saying is that she's got this perfectionist daughter, and the goal is to do everything and to do it perfectly. And what she is discovering now that she has loaded up her life with all these things, the pressure is on. Junior year, I talk about, everybody says junior year, junior year. That's a lot to ask of a 16-year-old. Junior year, everything in your life depends on junior year. So they get really stressed out. And the question, again, that mom asks is, right, she has to change her relationship with dealing with a too much to do situation, learning how to do good enough work. Here's the problem. Her educational aspirations, this school system that she's in, does not really support doing good enough work. It doesn't. So she's been pulled into this culture that says the more you do, the better. So I'm going to take a lot of AP courses. I'm going to load up my schedule. I have to show the world how capable I am, and I have to do great on everything. The perfectionism is rigidity. And what this girl believes is if she can just do everything, then it'll be okay. And then she keeps adding more and more to her plate, so she can't do everything. So it's a no-win situation. It's a lose-lose because she's going to get more stressed out. She's going to sacrifice her sleep. She's going to sacrifice her social life. She's going to want to stay home at school, start avoiding things so that she can catch up. All of this is a really common pattern of somebody who has the belief, which again gets absolutely supported by our academic system, that the goal is to do perfectly. If you tell a perfectionist in their junior year in high school that they should do good enough work, they're not going to buy it because the system isn't going to support that. What you have to start talking to your daughter about, and for those of you who are listening who have perfectionists that are 8 and 9 and 10, what you have to start talking about is how do you decide when you need to put the pedal to the metal and when you can coast. If you have trouble making small decisions, what that is indicative of is an inability to determine what's important and what's not, and also to recognize that you can't do everything, so certain things have to be let go. If you have the I have to do everything mentality and I have to do everything really well mentality, you're not going to let anything go. The more behind that you get, the more that you feel like you just have to spend more time catching up. The skill you want to talk to your daughter about is the ability to look and see where is she doing too much? And by I mean too much, meaning putting in more effort to a particular task than the task requires. I mean, this is the analogy I use all the time. You're having people over for dinner. So the perfectionist has to clean the entire house. The perfectionist has to scrub the grout in the guest bathroom upstairs with a toothbrush because the house has to be perfect. The person who wants to have a nice dinner party and wants her house to look nice puts all her crap up in the guest room so that the places where the guests are going to be looks presentable. And if you don't have the ability to differentiate between not doing good enough, but really differentiating between what you don't need to do, then you're going to have a problem. So perfectionists do things like they redo things that don't need to be redone. They take an enormous amount of time on assignments that should take 15 minutes because they go back and check and they want that math assignment to be perfect. They have difficulty deciding, for example, what topic to do on a research paper because there could be one perfect topic. And how do you know if you pick this one topic, maybe the other topic was better? They have difficulty making decisions because they can't let something go unless they are sure that they're making the absolute perfect decision. And this can show up in, I've had kids who've had trouble getting to school because they can't pick the perfect outfit to wear. I've had kids difficulty getting into class because they can't figure out what their class schedule should look like perfectly. There's no room for error. This is the ultimate in rigidity. So the message is not do mediocre work, do good enough work. The message that you really want to focus on, and the thing that the mom said, is she has difficulty making even minor decisions because she hasn't internalized or she hasn't learned the ability that when you choose one thing, you let go of something else, and that there are many options and many decisions that you can make that are fine. She's going for certainty. She's going for perfectionism.
If I'm saying this right, Lynn, the daughter has to learn. She has a lot of resources. She has to really master differentiating how much of a resource she's spending on each thing and can't, because everything, like you said, is full pedal to the metal. That's a very dangerous pattern. That's not a life skill. So how do you make this click where, okay, well, I know what you're telling me, but what's the most powerful message for the daughter to hear?
Mm-hmm. The most powerful message is, it is impossible for you to do everything perfectly. Impossible. So again, we don't go, so do everything mediocre. That's not going to fly. So you say, here's the skill that you need to learn. What are you going to focus on? And what are you going to let go of? And when kids begin to have the choice to let go of certain things, they can still put the pedal to the metal. I mean, it's sort of like when I'm writing a book, I'm really, really focusing on making sure that that book is as edited as I can make it. Ultimately, I have to give it away. And as I've said many times, I find typos in my books that everybody missed. But other things go by the wayside. And if you don't say to your daughter, we need to work on, or you need to work on knowing what do you need to spend time on and what can you let go of, then you're going to stay in this trap of crisis, this trap of overwhelmed. When she gets in crisis mode, that's a key phrase. Anxiety is promoting something to an emergency that's not an emergency. So how has junior year in high school become an emergency? Because she doesn't know how to let things go. So the message that this mom has to say is, if you want to really work hard because you've got this project due, that means something else has to be let go of. What are you going to let go of?
The mom and the daughter should sit down, and the daughter has to create a rank. These are the courses that are going to get my most energy, and these are the ones that are not. She has to start prioritizing and submitting lists where she's making that differentiation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if she has to do a list of the courses, she has to do a list of the month, she has to do a list of the week, even down to the daily. If she starts getting into the habit of saying, these are the most important things that I should be focusing on, down to these are the ones that are the least important, that require the least amount of reserve.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a great idea, except here's the
problem.
Well, it's not so much a problem, but it's a difficulty. She's going to get obsessed by her lists. She's going to spend hours and hours and hours making sure that she has everything ranked correctly. Making lists, when somebody tends to be obsessive, I really stay away from making lists, because then the list becomes the new obsession. So you're absolutely in the right arena. Here's what I would do in a way that's not potentially obsessive, is I would say the mom and the daughter sit down and give me 2 things that you're going to coast on.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 2 things you're going to coast on. Right? So no ranking, no just 2 things. So an example of this is when I was, you said that we were in this high achieving academic environment. I was absolutely in this environment. And I had to decide my senior year what I was going to let go of, because I had too much on my plate. I was doing too much. I was tired out. And I had played the trumpet since I was in 4th grade. I was in the jazz band. I decided senior year to quit trumpet. And you know what? It was really, really a good decision. I didn't miss at all. The other thing I used to do is I used to teach spinning at 5:30 in the morning, 3 times a week. And I really enjoyed doing it for a really long time until I started traveling more. So I would fly home. I would get back from the airport at midnight and had to get up at 4:30 to go teach a spinning class. I had to let that go. And guess what? It was a really good decision. Being able to develop that skill of saying, it's okay if I let this go. That's what perfectionists have a hard time doing. That's what these overachievers have a hard time doing. So where are you going to coast? Let me just say this one thing too, because this is a parenting issue. If you've got a perfectionist kid who's caught up in this high achieving environment, you are allowed to say, parents, I love you, Sophie. I know you're really smart. You're not taking 3 AP classes your sophomore year. Parents come to me all the time and they're like, but she loves doing everything. We don't want to take anything away from her. Well, if she doesn't know how to coast, maybe she can do everything. But if she has to be the perfect ballet dancer and the perfect babysitter and the perfect math student and the perfect editor of the newspaper, you have to have some activities where you're allowed to coast. And parents need to recognize that and not get pulled into this, I've got to help my child ramp up their resume and ramp up their transcript because getting into the college of their choice. And they'll say, but I just don't want her to be disappointed when she doesn't get into the college of her choice. Guess what, everybody? Being disappointed is a really good skill to practice. It's a parent thing too. You are allowed as a parent, when you see your child not sleeping, when you see them stressing out, when you see them in crisis mode, you are allowed to step in and say, we're going to take a 2-month break from the 8 hours of dance you're doing. Or we're going to give up the horseback riding for a period of time until you can start getting the sleep that you need. And I'm just going to say it because I got to say it over and over again. Get the damn phones out of the bedrooms. If you have a high school student who's not getting enough sleep, who you feel like is just on the treadmill, who's struggling to get things done, I am telling you, they are on their phone at night. I don't care what they tell you. That's a very concrete thing that you can do to stop this cycle of them feeling like there's not enough time in the day for them to get everything done because they're on their phones a lot. They are. So take it out of the bedroom. If you haven't done that, parents, if you listen to this podcast and you haven't taken the phone out of your kid's bedroom yet, come on, do it. But there's a lot of ways that you can talk to your kids about this concept of how do we pick and choose, and sometimes parents have to step in. Don't get sucked into it. It's compelling. I get it. Don't get sucked in.
I want to think about the way that these patterns can show up on the earlier side, right? It's very easy to see a kid with rigidity when they're very young. You see that all the time. Let's take a break.
I'm a sheet snob. I know what good sheets feel like. I know what bad sheets feel like. So when I got my Bowl and Branch signature sheets, I said to myself, all right, let's see, right? Is it going to live up to the hype? I will tell you, they live up to the hype. I love these sheets. You slide in. They are so soft. They are such high quality, breathability. You got to try it. If you haven't slept in good sheets, if you haven't slept in high quality sheets, you deserve some Bowl and Branch sheets. And if you're somebody like me who really says to yourself, I'm going to have good sheets, then you're going to feel this organic cotton. Your bed is going to be so deeply comforting. You're going to love it. They are made with the finest 100% organic cotton. There is a difference in the craftsmanship that you can feel immediately. Buttery soft. That's what I'm going to say, buttery soft. And they get softer with every wash. Discover a softness beyond your wildest dreams with Bowl and Branch. Get 15% off your first set of sheets plus free shipping at bowlandbranch.com/Flusterclux with code Flusterclux. That's Bowl and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Flusterclux. Code Flusterclux to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply. I do love January. I like when all the busyness of the holidays are over. And it's also a time to start to think about your goals for the year, wanting to save more money. I've got 2 young adult sons that are working so hard to figure out what their future finances are going to look like. How are they going to buy a house? How are they going to pay rent? You can set yourself up for financial success this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this year and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code Fluster. Being able to pay off your mortgage, being able to save for a major life goal, thinking about your child's education. I'm thinking about retirement. I really am. How do I want to make sure that I am knowing exactly where my money is going and how to make sure that I am putting my money toward what matters most? That's why I love using Monarch. Monarch has automated tracking and clear projections. Monarch helped users save over $200 per month on average after joining. 8 out of 10 members feel more in control of their finances with Monarch. Set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code Fluster at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code Fluster. Quince is all about elevated essentials that feel effortless. They're designed for layering and mixing, and each piece helps build a timeless wardrobe made to last. It's winter here in New England, and I like to feel cozy, so I've got to go with things that are warm and that last and that can go wear after wear after wear. They've got cashmere sweaters. They've got cotton sweaters. They have some workout clothing, some shirts that I wear to work out. These things take wash after wash after wash. They still look great. Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middleman, so you're not paying for brand markup, just high quality clothing. I love the stuff I get from Quince, the sweaters. I got a pair of jeans, the workout wear. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/fluster for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/fluster to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/fluster. Okay, so now back to the show.
One of the things that you didn't like my lists. I'm going to throw out another idea that keeps popping into my head.
Well, the thing I didn't like about the list was that it was like rank them, go over them, and then you were talking detail, right? Like hourly, daily. I'm like, oh, right? I work with people who are perfectionistic and that gets them. So it's just, a list is great. I love lists, just more casual.
Actually, here's what I was going to say, because I know this sounds silly, but I started thinking about the game Clue because I loved the game Clue as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was a postscript rule in Clue, if I wanted to wait until I was absolutely sure, the game would take longer. But if there was a time in Clue that you were forced to make a conjecture of who killed Mr. Body, the skill of that is this isn't done as much as I would like, but I have to take the risk and I have to live with the consequence of being wrong. Because that's, in a sense, it's like lessening that perfectionism. So I would say that with the list making, you have 2 minutes to make the list. It's not going to be a perfect list, right? But like the point is like, you have to reduce the perfectionism and just say like, you don't always have the time that you want in life to do what you have to do. Because you and I both know as working moms, that's what it comes down to is like, this is how much time I have. What can I get done in this moment? Because it's not going to be everything.
Right.
So I think that acknowledging like you should have not only effort, but only a certain amount of time allocated. That's part of it.
For sure. This is why when I see the plans made for these kinds of students at school, when I see the accommodation that you get extra time or that you don't have deadlines, that is the opposite of what we want to do. Deadlines and doing things within the limited time. So I like this idea of you can make a list, but it's going to be a quick list. Doing things within the time allowed is a really, really important skill. And so when these perfectionist kids are given more time, when they take time off from school so they can spend more time, that is not the skill that we want to develop. The skill is doing less or doing things quickly, not extending the time and the deadlines.
Absolutely. I have a really big test tomorrow, Mom. I don't think I'm going to do that well. Can I stay home from school and then I get to take the test on Friday? Anyway, this happened to us this week, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to take the test and you're going to have to see that the consequence of it isn't as big as what you're fearing right now. It just is. And you just got to do it.
And this goes back to those executive functioning skills. Executive functioning isn't about organizing and color coding. And a big executive functioning skill is planning and also dealing with cause and effect. And we learn executive functioning skills when there's a consequence. So the more that we take away the consequences of this, the less a child, the less a student has to learn. If you are in an environment in which everybody keeps saying to you, keep doing more and more, and we will keep giving you more and more time, and you won't be held accountable to any limits, that is the environment in which perfectionism blooms and grows. So it really is about putting those limits around it and working within the constraints. And then, second to that, of course, is making sure that you're not taking on too much. This happens a lot with people who don't want to disappoint other people, too. We've done episodes on people pleasers where they say yes to everything because they'd have trouble saying no. And then they get overwhelmed and then they've got so much to do and they're disappointing people and then they feel terrible. I mean, it just snowballs into so many other areas of one's life. Perfectionist habits really need to be addressed as early as possible. So that rigidity that you see early on, right? I'm going to do it a certain way. Don't fall for this very attractive idea that my child is so gifted at these things that we should let him do or her do as much as she wants, whenever she wants, because she's so gifted. Think about these bigger skills as you're moving forward.
I want to go back and sort of underline the key point in the beginning was really about resources, like how much effort, but it is critical that we also talk about allocation of time. So it's effort and allocation of time. Those are skills that if there is a game or anything when they're little to start talking about, I think a high school kid can understand this is a life skill you need to focus on.
Mm-hmm. And here's how perfectionistic parents model this. So say you're cleaning up your house. Say Saturday morning, you've got young kids, 5 and 7 and 9. And on Saturday morning, you have time to clean your house. That's your family house cleaning time. A perfectionistic parent wants the house cleaned perfectly, and there is not a deadline on the amount of time they're going to spend cleaning the house. So the kids watch this parent cleaning, and they're like, oh my God, are we going to have to clean all day? Sometimes the parent will say, no, you don't have to clean all day, but I'm going to clean all day. Here's a better approach. You say to your little tribe, I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. And we are all going to run around and we're going to pick up and clean and we're going to do it fast and we're going to do it efficiently so that we can get on with our day. And then you are saying to your kids, we're going to allocate a certain amount of time to cleaning, but we're not going to have the goal of having the house cleaned perfectly. And we're not going to let the time just go and go and go and go and go. Perfectionistic parents very often model that the goal is perfection in the absence of time limits. And that's what you want to pay attention to as a parent.
When we did our perfectionism episode, what came through was my perfectionism around the holidays.
Oh.
Can I just tell you the progress I've made?
I know. We did really good this year, didn't we?
I don't know if I told you this part too. My perfectionism showed up in that place a lot. And over time, the key message about perfectionism is if you kind of stop and are honest with yourself, perfectionism removes the joy from an activity.
It sure does. Yep.
Which is so key. So that perfectly decorated Christmas tree is not making your kids or your family happier. I definitely heard that. I've been making progress.
Definitely made progress. And the thing that I value about the holidays, because I've never been a good holiday mom, is the fun that we have. Like when I think about our laughter, when we play Quiplash as a family, when we do those games, we have so much fun. It's really about that time that we spend together and the laughing that we have. I mean, I think about Christmas with you this year, right? Sitting around your table and we ordered a ton of sushi.
We didn't even cook this year.
We didn't even cook this year.
Right. We ordered food.
Think of the conversations we had around that table with us.
Oh, yeah.
It was just so nice to be together. And for some people, like that holiday thing is their jam and they love it. I just think the idea of recognizing that your perfectionism, I love that you're bringing this up, your perfectionism steals other people's joy and your own too. It takes away the joy of your experience and it also impacts the people around you. Hanging around a perfectionist, I'll tell you, is no fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
I woke up Christmas morning and I said, I'm going to devote 20 minutes to pulling out stuff for the table. That was it. So I'm practicing what I preach.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I have 20 minutes to pull out stuff to make the table like kind of decorated. And I let it go. It's progress for me. Let's put it that way.
Okay. And everybody, let's just say for the record that Robin's table compared to my table, because I had Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving. I'm not a holiday person anyway. And this holiday for me was particularly difficult. But man, oh man, if you saw Robin's table compared to Lynn Lyons' table, you'd be like, I wonder who the perfectionist is in this particular venue. I mean, your table was beautiful, maybe not as perfect as you wanted it to be, but mine had 2 candlesticks on it and the candles had burned down. They were each about like a half an inch and I couldn't find any new candles in my house and I didn't want to go buy new candles. So we had the tiniest little candles and a poinsettia stuck in the middle of the table. That was it. We didn't care.
Yeah, we want our kids to have moments of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And perfectionism is not going to bring us closer to that.
It's not. It is absolutely not. Thanks for listening. And if you found this podcast helpful, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find this information.
And if you'd like to dig deeper on any of these topics, we have specialized playlists on our Spotify profile, and the link is in the show notes. Topics like teens, depression, and OCD. Bye, Lynn.
Bye, Robin. Thank you to Osea for sponsoring this show. Give your skin a rest with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FLUSTER at OseaMalibu.com.